What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Alarm Fantasy Football. I'm Howard Bender. With me today, Andrew Cooper, as per usual. But here we go. We got him. That's right, because nobody wanted anybody to draft any running backs in the first round. We got Kev Tompkins joining us here for today's Underdog Fantasy Football Draft. If you're new to Underdog, go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use that promo code ALARM. Get a match deposit up to $100 and come draft with this crew here. Unbelievable. Kev, thank you so much for joining us, man. How's everything going?
Everything's good. This is, believe it or not, my first ever best ball draft. So I'm excited to get in here and mix it up with you guys.
I would be surprised if this was your first draft of the day.
Okay. Do you need to know what the rules are? Do you need to know like how to play? Coop, do you want to give him some strategy?
How many defenses we doing?
7.
There it is.
It's a minimum of start 5, but you always want to keep some extras on your bench because of bye weeks.
That's
Can
right,
you put college
dude.
teams in?
2, yes, you can.
Two
2 to 3 quarterbacks and tight ends. But for real, on this one, we have a good mix. We have some new folks in here. We have some familiar faces. All #family in the house doing best ball drafts with us. And I've had so much fun doing this week, Howard. Can we do this again next week?
We could definitely do this again next week. I'm more than happy to. Now, you guys will have to go on without me on Wednesday and Thursday because, well, Daddy's going fishing. Ooh. I need my vacation time. I got to charge the batteries before the actual show. Look at that. Jack sends and says it. Back to back Chicken Shack, Howard. Back to the Chicken Shack is it's a fish song.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Howard, you go back to back. I've seen you do the solo. One time I joined you briefly. You were doing a solo dolo 2-hour show on Sirius when you had the flu, the Jordan flu game show. Ooh. So yeah, he's a man. He can't be stopped, folks. He can't be stopped. And now he's going to crush us all in the best ball draft too, right?
I'm probably going to. I'm going to get this draft started right now. I'm going to join in there so that we can get that draft board up nice and early. Uh-oh. Howard's got to do you believe that? I can't believe it. I have to deposit.
Deposit Kingdom. Yeah. Some champ over here.
Money.
Some champ.
That number.
Yeah. So while you're putting some dough in there, use promo code Fantasy Alarm, Howard. They'll match up to $100, 100% of whatever you deposit while you're doing that. Want to talk about what Dustin just brought up. If for those that are unfamiliar, I actually was unfamiliar. I was talking to Matt Sells about NASCAR on the phone just now for about 45 minutes.
Boom, I'm in.
And so I missed the Jerry Jeudy news. Jerry Jeudy came up lame with a hamstring here. Can linger. We'll have to see what the deal is with that. But I mean, immediate thoughts, boys.
We might be getting 8th round Marvin Mims here pretty soon. I think we're going to see. We've kind of faded Cortland Sutton throughout almost the entire offseason here.
Have we?
I mean, the market has. The market's the wide receiver, that big wide receiver tier. But Judy's been the one that's drafted at the end of the 3rd round. Now you're going to see Judy fall. You're going to see Sutton rise up a little bit. I think you're going to see the biggest rise out of Marvin Mims. I don't know if much happens in the way of Dulcich, honestly, as much as I would love it. But I think Mims is going to be the big riser out of the pass catchers here.
Let's go, dude. Let's go. All right. Got the draft up. Going to be starting soon. If you're in the chat, if you're a first-time drafter, let me know what your username is because I know the usernames don't match up. Like I know Sigma Kai's in here, but I don't know what his username is. This is his first ever draft. So we got eHerv at the 1 spot. Kismet 420. He's a regular with us. He's got the badge on there. Howard Bender at 3. Daomi, who I believe is new to the show. Welcome. Icy Through, who's a regular. Poncho, Chicago Poncho Rio, he's a regular. Kevin Tompkins and me back to back. Hamburglar, he's been around. Then Vornelas, J Burger, 2 that I've yet to draft with, and Bruce B. Bruce B's been hanging around. I'm not sure if he's been in these drafts. He has been in these drafts with us. So we got about half and half, new and old school. And look at that right off the bat. In honor of Britt Flynn, who's not here today, Bijan Robinson, RB1, player 1 off the board. Britt has Bijan as her RB1, but 101. That's a spicy meatball, boys.
It is a little bit. I mean, look, what is up with the charity? We're letting Howard get Jefferson at 103.
I know, dude.
I'm a hardworking man here. Just throw me some JJ at pick 3 for crying out loud.
I mean, just throw meat out to the dogs. Why don't you?
Yeah. Joshua Coles says, let's get funky with this draft. Funky start already, but yeah, everybody go crazy. Do something crazy in this draft, right?
I have a little fun with it. I hear you on that, man. I definitely hear you on that. The Bijan Robinson, it's kind of funny because, the three of us, along with John and Pemba and Britt Flynn, we're going to be recording our flag planting show later on tonight, which should be out then tomorrow with a corresponding article over at fantasyalarm.com. But we talk about flag plants. I've got my article about my fantasy football fades. That's up on Fantasy Alarm right now. I just finished an episode of Getting Buzzed with Bob Harris, and boom, right there on his fade is actually Bijan Robinson. He's talking about the fact of we draft in the first and second round we draft the ceiling of the player. We get all hyped up about it. We get all excited about it. And he turns around and he says, it's not that he's not going to draft him, but tail end of the first round, he's definitely interested in it. But where Bijan's going right now, especially here in the 1-1, he's out on. So it's very similar to my take on Eckler, right? I'm not in on Eckler at his ADP, but if Eckler falls to the back end of the first round, I'm not going to be an idiot and not take him.
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting case. We've seen the first round running backs, that are rookies. We've seen the Zeke Elliott's. We've seen the Saquon Barkley's, Leonard Fournette's. It really portends what kind of volume these guys are going to get. We know at Atlanta, they're going to be running the ball into the ground, into the Stone Age. So I think Bijan's got a pretty sizable lock. I mean, I think he'll get more volume than any of those other guys that have been drafted in the first round as rookies could dream of. So as long as the wheels don't completely fall off in Atlanta, which let's face it, there is a non-zero chance that could happen, but I can't see a world where Bijan doesn't tote the rock 275 times as long as he plays 15, 16 games. So I think he's a pretty safe bet. And then you're betting on the talent too. I'm totally fine with it.
Kev, I think that number is going to be a little bit higher. 275. I'm
at minimum. That's
I'm putting him down for a minimum of 300.
Here's the thing about Bob's take is it's very reasonable, and it's the same take that I had with Saquon Barkley when he was a rookie. And guess what? I didn't get Saquon Barkley in any leagues because with Bijan, you almost have to get aggressive right now, and you almost have to go out of your way to get him. So that's what happens at the top of these rankings. If you move a guy 2 spots, you're not getting him. Or if you take a guy like Bijan and move him up, you're going to have him everywhere. If you take CeeDee Lamb and make him your wide receiver 2, you'll have him in every single league. So at the very top where we're splitting hairs, if you do rank like Howard, when you rank Eckler as your RB5, I know you like Chubb, you like Saquon, you're not getting much Eckler, right? 6. Yeah. So you're getting probably very little Eckler if you're doing that.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, listen, I'm not. Yeah. I mean, it's not a move that I want to make. And if people are gonna, take him at his ADP, then that's, then so be it. It's just one of those things where for me, it's about, if I can get it at late value. Another one of his fades was actually T. Higgins, talking about where he's being drafted. And then we had that conversation about Jahmyr Gibbs, who, I was talking to Eric Balkman from the FFPC, and Eric turned around and said that Jahmyr Gibbs was going to probably pop up to the back end of the second round. I mean, I just, again, I get it. You're drafting at ceiling, but it's just too rich for my blood. And I feel like you kind of have to pull back on some of those.
Yeah, it's scary for me, man. The Gibbs one, especially because it's David Montgomery's still there. If they let Jamal Williams leave and just kind of kept Craig Reynolds and those guys and then drafted Gibbs, I would be all over Jahmyr Gibbs. But the fact
he'd be where Tony Pollard. Oh, he'd probably be a bat 1-2 turn guy.
He'd probably go with the swing. Yeah, he'd probably be going at the swing of the first round. But because of what they did, they paid up for the highest free agent. They could have brought Jamal Williams back on the deal that he got with the Saints, and they decided to upgrade to David Montgomery. David Montgomery has 25 pounds on Gibbs. I just don't see a world where Gibbs he's going to need to score from 10, 20 yards out, which is possible for him. And it's how Alvin Kamara as a rookie got things done despite Mark Ingram getting all the goal line work. Also wanted to point out, guys, we're getting a little crazy here. You see the first pick I made in this draft?
I do see that. That's very atypical.
Kelce, you think that's crazy? Wow, how is that crazy?
For me, because I never take a tight end early. I really don't. I lean into the yin and yang, especially in this where you have to take 2 or 3 QBs and tight ends. It gives me the green light to take the guys I love. So, but I don't know.
Interesting.
And I thought about doing the Mahomes stack, but nah.
Nah, it didn't do it for you.
Nah, I'm in on Devontae Adams all the way in. I think Devontae Adams should honestly still be going at the end of the first round. Every place I've looked, like Underdog, for instance, you look at their season long stat lines. I'm betting higher on all those, even though they're set at like 1,300. So Devontae Adams, the places like Underdog still love him, yet he's going in the second round when he's been nothing but a wide receiver one, a high end wide receiver one, pretty much always. And last year, you look at the targets were there, but the completion percentage to him was like 55%. It can't really get that much worse under Jimmy G. They're still going to throw it to him a ton. And if it's somehow worse than 55%, then they should probably be looking to trade this guy or swap out the quarterback. 55% is insane for a guy that's never been below like 65, 70% completion percentage.
Yeah, I don't really understand. I mean, no, I do understand. There's so much I don't understand, but yet I do understand that there's chronic overreaction in this industry. And that's one of the most detrimental things. And I think that what we try to do as analysts, we try to help people keep like a much more level head about certain things. Like everybody right now is like flipping out about Jerry Jeudy. All right. And I guarantee you that somebody in their fantasy league that's already drafted, they're already starting to think about making trades and starting to, get some wide receiver help. And I think that, it's like, well, you got to wait for the news. You got to see what develops here. You can't just sit there and make these reactionary trades. It's not good for you. And it's not good for your team. For the same token, it's getting caught up in that, in all of that hype. And, Devontae Adams said that he didn't like the direction that the offense was going, and Jimmy G's foot, and what's he going to do? I was looking into the Raiders and some of the moves that they made. There's a very specific reason why Jimmy G is the quarterback and Brian Hoyer is the backup, because both of these guys know exactly what Josh McDaniels wants. And listen, I'm not saying that these guys are the be all end all of quarterbacks, but they know the system. They know how to, how it all works, the minutia of what Josh McDaniels wants to do, because it is a very complex offense. So if you're bringing in a guy and he's got a mid-level talent, but understands the scheme a lot better than most other QBs, like Derek Carr, for example, like, I don't know, would you guys say that Jimmy G, Derek Carr, are they comparable? Are they like kind of, if you were to put like a fantasy value on them, like as, Derek Carr last year with the Raiders, Jimmy G this year with the Raiders?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's not as far off. Even if people think that Derek Carr's better, it's definitely not as far off as some people think. I think it's going to be just fine. That's why I have no problem with it.
Yeah, the end of the quarterbacks are pretty much one giant tier anyway. And Carr's probably at the top of it, but Garoppolo's kind of in the lowish middle, and there's really no discernible difference as far as fantasy value for me.
Right. And so for me, when I look at these two guys who, let's say, all things being equal, I'll put the tilt towards Jimmy G for having a much better understanding of the scheme. Like, he learned it in New England, sat on the bench behind Brady, learning what this offense was all about. And I think that that's going to go a much longer way than like trying to teach Derek Carr what the scheme is and all the nuances that they want to do. So, I'm not going to be, I don't have any real shares of Devontae Adams. It's just been the way that the drafts have fallen for me so far, but I'm not going to be scared to take him. Like, that's the thing.
Andrew Cooper over here building the world's oldest best ball team through 4 rounds here.
I only players 30 and over. That's been the strategy from the start. And
Coop is going to meet him at the Sizzler
Joe Mixon,
about 5 o'clock later.
Joe Mixon is 30. Joe Mixon's 30 in RB years.
He really is, though.
Well, it's about mileage, right? It's not always about age. It's about the mileage that these guys put on themselves.
Yeah, they're like a 1995 Chevy Beretta, if you're going to.
So what I've been doing in this draft.
Beretta.
I've been trying out a new strategy in this draft where I just take really good players. So I'm not really looking at bye weeks or age or any of those things at this stage. I'm just going to take the best player when they're on the clock.
Yeah. As soon as I had Keenan Allen in my queue, as soon as I saw you were on the clock, I immediately clicked off Keenan Allen because I knew he was gone.
He's gonna be gone.
I like London and Pitts, man. The crazy thing with Pitts is the stats that when you look at all of the behind the scenes metrics with Pitts, they're all amazing. And then Arthur Smith, once again, even in the preseason games when they're doing, and I know it's preseason, but even in these games, he's got Pitts playing 7 snaps in line, 1 out wide. And it's like, what are we doing, man? Why did they trade for Jonnu Smith? Like, they didn't go out and get anybody at wide receiver. I mean, Matt Collins is one, but he's easily one of the even. There's no way Matt Collins is a better pass catcher than Kyle Pitts, but even if he is, he's still one of the best 3 wide receivers on the team. Why is he having Kyle Pitts block in line? You got to adjust the strategy to the personnel. It's driving me outside of my mind. I just tweeted earlier. It's like having a Ferrari and using it to haul mulch. That's what he's doing with Kyle Pitts. It's the most ridiculous behavior. The stat I was responding to is somebody pulled up the top 5 players in terms of yards per route run when lining up out wide, not in the slot, but all the way out wide. Yep. And Pitts on the list was 4. The number 1 on the list is Cooper Kupp. It's like all the usual suspects. And then this guy that he's having put his hand in the dirt. It's Jason Garrett with Evan Ingram all over again. It's driving me outside of my mind. And honestly, it makes it tough to draft because we sit here and say it over and over, but if they're not going to do it, then it's all hypothetical.
Yeah. And Arthur Smith's going to be the guy that takes Kyle Pitts off in like jumbo packages.
I hate Arthur Smith.
But you know who is going to be out there? Drake London, almost every time.
Almost every time.
Yes, Drake London's a great pick.
I got to tell you, I love already through. Listen, I know everybody loves their team 5 picks in. If anybody doesn't love their team 5 picks in, you're probably doing it wrong. But I mean, for best ball for me, I like going RB heavy early, get those top guys who I can kind of rely on, and then play a little bit of receiver roulette here. But I'm sorry, man. I mean, JT will play. I'm hoping he lands somewhere like Miami. Which is something that a lot of people have been discussing. But JT, Ramondre, Aaron Jones, I feel good about that. But having Justin Jefferson and then Brandon Ayuk is my number 2 here. I've drafted a number of like redraft leagues, and Brandon Ayuk has been like my number 1, like waiting on receiver. So to have him sitting here behind Jefferson,
feels good. The stat numbers, like again, we talk about underdogs. They set season stat lines, and you can bet higher or lower on those. You can pick higher or lower. If you look at Ayuk, he's ahead of Kittle. He's ahead of Debo. He's the top on the team. They're set over 800. So yeah, I'm in on that. And I see Jair's in the chat saying that yesterday he traded Judy for Mixon, and Judy got hurt today. Let us know what other trades you're doing so we can avoid those players, because you're clearly some sort of witch. Literally some sort of juju going on there. Let us know what other trades you got cooking right now so we can fade those guys.
Herm says trade Taylor to the Eagles, then watch Philly acquire CEH and Dobbins later in order to assemble the Infinity Stones in the 2020 NFL draft class.
That's why I drafted Dobbins. It's always been the thesis of the play.
If that were to happen, I would just go back and think of all the time we spent debating that draft class. It's just like, good God, mate.
Right.
Do you remember when CEH got bumped up to like a first round pick for everybody that year?
106.
I remember. I think I took him over Jonathan Taylor in the Sirius XM draft, Howard.
Why would you do something like that, Andrew?
Well, I was sitting there. At the time, I took the cop-out answer of half PPR. I like Jonathan Taylor. Full PPR, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And at the time, that league happened to be full PPR, so I kind of stuck with what I was saying. Turns out that you just want the guy that's better at playing football. As it turns out.
Dustin Ludke letting us know that N'Keal Harry got cut today. What a shocker. What a shocker. I mean, he's no Hakeem Butler. That's for damn sure. So
I pulled up the Patriots draft picks based on PPR points drafted over the last 20 years, right? So Deion Branch was before this time. The number 1 player was Julian Edelman, a 7th round quarterback. the number 2 wide receiver in terms of PPR points over the last 20 years drafted by the Patriots. Can you guys guess who it was?
David Gibbons.
Nope.
Deion Branch.
So Deion Branch is outside of 20 years, but so he would have been number 2 after Edelman. Yeah, over 2 decades ago.
Amendola.
I'll give you a hint. No, Amendola he came over from the Rams. This player was drafted by the Patriots, then he went to Howard's Jets, and now he's on the Dolphins.
Damn. What's up with the Jordan Addison pick? I didn't even hear what you just said, because I was like, where the hell did Jordan Addison just go?
The chat, Dustin got it in the chat. The last 20 years, the second highest PPR scoring wide receiver the Patriots drafted is Braxton Berrios. That is, I'm not even kidding. How crazy is that? And he only has like 200 PPR points. This team can absolutely not draft a wide receiver to save their life. Think of how many the Steelers have taken during that time period. The Steelers, like as a Pats fan, I'm watching the Steelers let Mike Wallace and Emmanuel Sanders walk because they have Antonio Brown and like 10 guys and Hines Ward and everybody. I'm like, can we just have one of those guys? Can we just one time have one of those players?
Yep. So Judy fell to the 6-12. We don't really have a lot of info on the hamstring injury. That could be certainly a overreaction, but if it's we know hamstring injuries, best case, it's a multi-week kind of thing here, but 7th round, if he's going to miss 3-4 weeks, that seems about right.
Yeah, I think that he fell far enough. I mean, honestly, what's going to happen over the next couple of days is he's almost certainly going to be auto drafted with because like where he is, I think what they do is it's like rolling 3-day reset. Like they roll the data for over 3 days, I think is what I saw. So it's going to take a couple of days for him to move down. So he's going to be the auto pick special. I just think back to the year that Tyreek Hill had all that stuff going on and he was being auto drafted in like every league. And then it turned out to be an amazing pick.
And everybody was drafted.
I mean, how many times have we seen that happen where it's like, something happens and everybody starts fading a guy. And the next thing you know, it's like, oops. You just gave all these people this ridiculous value at like the week before the season starts.
Classic, dude. Should have taken Judy.
I thought about it.
I took Deontay Johnson instead. 140 targets every year. Yeah. There you go, Herms. How's that for some pro Steelers content? I got a lot of pro Steelers takes right now.
Are we talking Steelers here? This is my daily routine of making Kenny Pickett feel bad about himself. This is an NFL regulation size football. And Kenny, I want you to look at this and understand that this is what it's supposed to look like. Not the little tiny, teeny little baby doll hands of yours. This is what you're supposed to do. All right. So shout out to Kenny Pickett and them Steelers.
Shout out Kenny.
I've got so many Steelers. I have as many Steelers fans chirping in my ear as I do Cowboys fans that I work alongside.
Yeah, so, everyone has those fan bases on like when you're an analyst, you have those fan bases that hate you. Giants fans do not like me.
My own fan base hates me.
The Packers fans. The one reasonable Kevin Tompkins, one reasonable Packers fans.
Yeah.
Fans don't like when you're reasonable.
I'm like Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastards, getting the sword out, and they're all coming at me. That's how I feel sometimes.
Just lining up in front of Kev's place with like pitchforks and torches.
Right. I say Jordan Love's had 83 career pass attempts, and like I'm slandering the guy and kicking his family.
So that's the thing is that's what they like. That's what makes them the most mad. When you just tweet a stat and it's like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, no, those are just numbers. It's
right.
Like, but why did you do that? Why did you do that?
There had to be something behind it.
Why have you done this to me? I'm like, I just posted this 40 times. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my fault he's not faster, right?
Dude, in my fades article, right? I had some dude and I put his tweet in the, his first tweet in the article saying that I should be banned for not having Austin Eckler in my top 5. And so I kind of, I bantered back and forth with him a little bit just to get his take, right? Like, tell me, stop calling me a donkey and tell me why Austin Eckler is the be-all, end-all right now. And if you're just going to quote me last year's numbers and you're going to ignore the fact that he's got a new offensive coordinator installing a completely different scheme, then tell me. I said, in the article, I was like, Kellen Moore does a good job of getting the best out of his players, but not at the expense of his scheme. And everybody was like, oh, well, you're an idiot. You said Kellen Moore gets the best out of his players. That means that he's going to get the best out of Austin.
I will say this, though. Calling somebody a donkey is objectively pretty funny. Like on Twitter, there's certain things like the clown emojis are never funny.
You don't know ball.
Calling somebody a clown is never funny. But if you get a little
ball,
at least
That's
get a little
favorite.
At least get a little creative. At least a little creative. Like my favorite one, the guy on Reddit he said, "You are a snake oil garbage salesman."
That's
that's
way too specific. And
see, if you're gonna be as we always say on the show, if you're gonna be a troll, at least be funny. Yeah, Fatty gets it.
Put some effort into it.
Donkey. Yeah, my boy Skinner from home. Coop has all Madden team 2019. I leaned into it, Kev. Did you see my last pick? I took Mike Evans.
Yeah, I had him queued up and I was gonna take him.
Even you're gonna take him, Mike Evans, then we're getting.
He was like 2 rounds after ADP.
I know.
All right, let's make this moderately educational here, and let's each one of you guys will start with Kev. Just go through the why behind some of those some of the picks that you've made, or strategy that you were kind of employing here. Let's go with that. Just considering we're at round 8 right now. We've completed half of this draft, or almost half of this draft. So Kev, thoughts? Your team?
Yeah. So Cooper Kupp, locked at 180 targets if he doesn't get hurt and the Rams don't fall apart. Is my wide receiver 3 over Tyreek Hill. Tony Pollard, my RB2. Love him in Dallas this year. No Jonathan Taylor, no whammies. Josh Allen, naked Josh Allen seems really fun, but then I ended up taking James Cook a few rounds after that. So pretty happy with that. Went more balanced than I'm usually doing because I did want a little running back firepower, so I don't have to take him in the middle rounds and kind of take some more stabs at younger wide receivers later. J.K. Dobbins I like. JSN I'll take the dip on. Elijah Moore I really like too. So I think I've built out at least 4 solid wide receivers. Got a nice stable of decent young running backs with upside. Josh Allen, I'm fine.
Coop, how about you?
Yeah, so honestly, it's nice to feel the freedom that comes with drafting Travis Kelce. Like when you don't have to worry about when and where you're gonna get your next meal, when and where you're gonna get your tight end or tight ends. Which in this range, if you don't have a tight end yet, now you're thinking, who are my tight ends going to be? Like now, I just gotta think about getting one more guy at some point that I think is reasonable, and I'm done there. The one position that I still need to wait on, assuming Kev doesn't take one here, would be quarterback, but I can always figure that out. So I just honestly taking best player. I took Kelce, then just took best player available. Now I'm going to take Tua as my quarterback. Feeling real nice about that. Give me 1 second to do that. And then, and I'm feeling pretty good, man. The one guy I was hoping would make it back to me is Michael Thomas, but you never allow for that, Howard. Thank you. But yeah, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans. Boom. 4 rock solid wide receivers. And I have Mixon, Miles Sanders, my guy, and Rachaad White, who is the did I not take Tua?
There you did.
Okay.
You got it.
I think I clicked instead of draft, I clicked Q, but it worked out in the end. Yeah, so I mean,
I was so worried about you, Coop.
We did it. Yeah. But I mean, it's like good mix of I need to take more upside stabs later. That's where I'm at, is that like Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen, target monsters, but you need they're not going to set the world on fire from game to game because they're kind of lower ADOT type guys. And the quarterback, I mean, well, we'll see what happens with the quarterbacks there, but yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited. I want to look at some of these other drafts, especially guys in the chat. Let me know, the new guys, especially, what your usernames are. I want to know what some of these new guys are doing out here. But interesting with Bruce B, no quarterback yet. There's actually a couple teams with no quarterback. Howard, no quarterback either.
Just sitting and waiting. My moment will come.
Yeah, Coop said he wanted some upside. He's got a couple 29-year-olds in the queue right now, so
That's right, dude.
in a good spot.
They turn 30 during the season. Okay.
Age is just a number.
Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to take David Njoku, and now I'm done at tight end. Now I don't need to draft another. I could have even probably waited even farther, but now I know no reason to take another.
Makes sense. Yeah.
The thing with taking Kelce is that, like, if he gets hurt, your season's over.
I'm not going to say it's over, but it's definitely damaging, especially, when you have to like push off, another position. I mean, you took Kelce, and then, listen, you built up your running backs and wide receivers immediately afterwards. So can't say that you're going to be done if Kelce gets hurt. It's just, it's definitely a big blow though.
That's the way I always feel. It feels like it's easier to replace, a wide receiver. If your wide receiver gets hurt, then it's easier to replace that.
Sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, listen, anytime you lose a first round draft pick, no matter what position
you're kind of in big trouble.
Yeah.
It's still a kick to the balls.
Yeah, this might be the first time in any of my drafts that I've had through 10 rounds more running backs than wide receivers.
I don't know, man. I feel like you've been going a little bit more running back heavy lately. I don't know if it's just for the shows and you're just trying to throw off like, your usual competition, but
Kev's just a contrarian, dude. He whatever everyone's doing, he's doing the opposite.
Oh, dude, he took Kirk Cousins from me. Look at that, you son of a.
Kev's a zero RB hipster, dude. It's like when you're listening, he's listening to Good Charlotte, and then as soon as they're on the radio, as soon as they're on the radio, he's like, I listened to them before they were cool, right?
Yeah, so who needs to listen to Good Charlotte? We can listen to Neutral Milk Hotel.
Now that's a real deep cut. Honestly,
that is a real deep cut, right? That's April Ludgate's favorite band.
Oh, I know.
and Andy Dwyer is very jealous.
Now, have you guys ever listened to that album, Airplane Over the Sea?
No.
By them. So I'll tell you this. I listened to it and I was like, this is garbage. But at the end of it, I was like, I found myself thinking about it for a week. It's like on The Simpsons, like the tobacco where they take a bite and they're like, this tastes like grandma. But then immediately they're like, I want
tastes like grandma.
And they go, I want more. Me too.
So it's the kombucha gift. You drink it.
Dude, I tell you, you got to listen to it all at once. I listened to it on a plane. So I'm like, I just threw it in, listened to the whole thing. And I was like, what the hell is this noise? But then all week long, I was like, man, I can't stop thinking about Anne Frank or whatever that was about. So like, I'm telling you guys, check out, give that album a listen. I want to know what you guys think about Neutral Milk Hotel, Airplane Over the Sea.
Listen, I'm 1 week away from a run of 4 fish shows in Colorado, so I have to. I'm prepping myself for that.
I'll keep your mind
Neutral
clear.
Milk Hotel on the back burner for now.
You can't be putting Neutral Milk Hotel in that mix. You got to keep your mind pure before those. Yeah. Yeah. Here we go.
Good times.
All right, you know what? That's my first share of Anthony Richardson.
Here we go.
First share.
Bruce B in the chat talking about his squad. QB is deep and my RBs were slim. So that's why he, at that last spot, double tapped running back, even though he didn't have a quarterback yet. But since then, Bruce B, 5 QBs have come off the board. So interested to see how you figure this one out. But I will say,
which team number is
he's
his?
12. Bruce B's 12.
Oh, he's down. He's back over there. Okay.
Yeah, BB.
He's over on your side of the draft. He's not on my side of the draft.
The troublemaker side. Which way's the draft?
Oh, Treylon Burks
back the way
11th.
it came.
I love that Treylon Burks in the 11th pick.
I was pushing it off, and I pushed it off because I already have JSN, and I didn't want to have 2 of my 5 wide receivers kind of dinged up at the beginning. But at some point, you got to capitulate.
I just took Wes Welker.
You just took Wes Welker.
Juju
he
Smith.
Wishes he's
Juju Smith Welker.
Juju Smith
Poopster.
That's right, dude. He doesn't need to be Wes Welker. He just has to be Jacoby Myers. That's all we need.
I don't even know if he can be that.
Well, he just has to be okay. I mean, what was my 11th round pick? Give me a break, dude.
No breaks. This is not in this economy.
Last time Bill O'Brien was calling the plays, Wes Welker got 173 targets. Now Juju's playing that exact role. They paid up to get him instead of Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers knew all the plays, and they said, "Take a lap, Jacoby. We are bringing in Juju, bringing in better asset." So,
Josh Coles went 0 RB, super uncomfortable. Welcome to the ideology, my friend.
There we go. Coles, what's your username in here?
Yeah, what's his username?
We'll just figure it out. Oh, he's Hamburglar. He's Hamburglar.
Hamburglar.
Yeah, I knew that.
Apparently not.
Oh, I did yesterday. Or 2 days ago when he was in, I knew it. But today is a different day.
I mean, Tank Bigsby's a great pick. I love that. But yeah, Elijah Mitchell's going to be a tough one.
I probably would have stopped at 5 and grabbed a running back like a Rashad White or like that ilk. At least set yourself up with early season production that can get 200 plus carries, at least having that. And then you can kind of build it out after that. That's my only criticism, but I will never slander 6-7 wide receivers, a quarterback. And
no, but I think you make a good point there. I also, instead of Sky Moore, I would have done like David Montgomery or Dalvin Cook.
Oh, Hamburger.
You know, like that, like that's the pick right there. That could have been pivotal because I mean, you know, Brown, Waddle, Metcalf, Mike Williams, you throw in Burrow there and Dotson, boom. Right. And then you can just lay off. You don't need Sky Moore.
No. And,
you know,
and that's the thing too.
Don't need Quentin Johnston either.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, where people will do 0 RB and maybe go a little bit earlier on running back and just take like 3 or 4 and then you're kind of capped at both sides. You could also take 1 too late.
Yeah, if you're on the clock.
Box yourself out. Yep. Yeah, you can kind of box yourself out of early season production. I mean, so Tank Bigsby, Elijah Mitchell, and then Mostert's probably going to be cracking a lineup more often than Mitchell and Bigsby, at least in the early season. But at the point as we're at now where the early season production really dries up, where you're not going to have options. So that's why it's good to have at least a couple there to be able to kind of coast along until the guys like Bigsby or the contingent play in Mitchell can at least have a shot of getting you over the top.
Raheem Mostert just got hamburgered from me. I've been hamburgered.
You can't say it.
I can't say it.
That's how flustered you are.
Railroad.
You got railroaded.
I got railroad. All right. Zeke, I kind of like that pick, man. I know Britt likes that pick too. Maybe we're just homers. What do you guys think? Zeke in a best ball format, just chasing touchdowns?
Yeah,
you better be like Garrett Blunt.
Garrett Blunt scored 18 touchdowns in a year where he had 7 receptions. What in tarnation?
Well, his yards per route run have gone precipitously down the last 3 years, so he might be a good comp to LeGarrette Blunt right now. You better hope the Patriots can score some touchdowns for him to even get the shot at double digits.
Jeremy Hill, is he Alfred Morris? Jeremy Hill.
I will die on the hill that no pun intended about they just cut the legs off of Gio Bernard in Cincinnati.
You'll die on Jeremy Hill.
Well, I guess Gio Bernard died on the Jeremy Hill.
Gio Bernard was sick as a rookie, and then they drafted Jeremy Hill. Yeah.
That was after Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, I believe.
Yes.
I can't remember if he was in the middle of that or what. God,
the law firm.
My timelines are all
nickname.
Look at that, back-to-back Lions.
Too bad.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that Laporta was still there made me. I was kind of biting my tongue because earlier I was like, "Yep, Njoku, I'm done," and then I sat here and I was like, "Or am I?" Looking at Laporta, looking at Laporta. So thank you for grabbing him, saving me from going against my own strategy. Or am I?
Yeah, I feel like I keep making that pick just to spite Andy Behrens, even if he's not in a draft anymore, because I took him from him in the Kings Classic, and he kind of let me have it in the auction, no less.
Right? Yeah, he only went for like $4 or something.
Yeah, but he had no money, and I was like, I was able to go up to like $5 or $6 at that point.
I kind of don't mind Tyler Higbee this year. As crazy as that sounds, he's like the perfect example of a guy that, like, in a vacuum, there's nothing to like, but just the fact that they did nothing this offseason. They did absolutely nothing. The target's got to go somewhere.
We're doing it.
Higbee or Jefferson? Like which one? Oh no, you took fucking Brock Purdy.
I know. I do. So I actually might have to
bastard you.
I might have to move him ahead of Derek Carr in my own rankings. Right now I still have Carr ahead, but I don't know. I just want Purdy's the guy I want.
Man, I was gonna take him as my third QB because nobody's touching him still. But I guess with the Trey Lance news right now, I guess I should have expected his ADP to jump a little bit.
He's got the Sam Darnold cushion in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to push him up in the cheat sheet. I'm gonna end up doing after this draft. I've got like 2 hours before the alarm show. I'm gonna end up like making some adjustments on the cheat sheet. I'll throw that out to you guys. Players right now who you think should be bumped up. I mean, obviously you're not looking at the cheat sheet right now, but like based on ADP trends, based on what you're seeing right now in training camp, who are some of the players that should be bumped up a little bit more that you don't think enough people are looking at?
Yeah, let us know in the chat. And Howard, I want to ask you, because I moved Brock Purdy, my last update, I moved him up to 20. But I think you're going to put him ahead of Carr or after Carr? Because that's the question for me. I think I'm going to move him ahead of. I think I'm
moving him ahead of Carr.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to move him up to 18. That's where I'm going to live. There's another one that I was now I can't put my finger on it, but I realized I have him way too low. I think Raheem Mostert is a guy that I've been, based on my own draft tendencies, I need to move him up in the rankings that I have published. So I'm going to do that as well.
Yeah. I feel like today's a good day to just kind of make those adjustments right now. You're getting some more injury news and things like that. Kev, what about you? Guys who you're seeing that you still think are too low and need to be bumped up? And you could say Gainwell too. I don't know if Sellers is watching this show, but you can say it.
I just drafted him, Matthew Stafford. Like, I don't understand why he's still like behind Kyler Murray and Jordan Love, who have 83 pass attempts. Like, we've seen him and Kupp, as long as they're both healthy, if Kupp is good to go week 1. I mean, Van Jefferson's not the greatest too, but he's serviceable. Tyler Higbee, like, I'm fine with that offense. If Cam Akers can, shrug off the Achilles from 2 years ago and be, at least a bit of what we thought he's going to be coming out of Florida State. Like, I don't mind that Rams offense. They're going to have to overachieve a little bit, but I think Stafford's the vehicle that can certainly do that and flirt with top 12 upside every week.
I like it. I like it.
I got him. Yeah, got to move Purdy up. I got to move Mostert up. I think I got to move Dalvin Cook and Ramondre Stevenson down.
Him and Breece Hall really kind of coming together.
They're coming together just as we expected. I got to move Alexander Madison down a little bit because I had him ranked where I thought I was comfortable taking him, but I'm just never taking him there. I already moved him behind Rashad White, but I don't know. Would you out of these three guys, would you rather have Alexander Madison, James Conner, or Cam Akers? Because that's the kind of group where I'm like, I don't like taking Madison of that group.
Yeah,
I like Akers, honestly.
Yeah, I was just gonna. Yeah, I agree with Kev.
Okay, James Conner, or
real close though with Conner, like because Conner, close. There's nobody else in that backfield that's competing with Conner. But then again, there's not a lot competing with Akers either. So
right, the thing that worries me about Conner is just that, I mean, he's missed a couple games every year. Plus, we're seeing they're selling off pieces right now. I mean, Isaiah Simmons just got traded today for a 7th round pick. Like, Marquise Brown's not safe. That offensive environment could just implode by like week 8.
It's Michael Wilson season.
Oh, Kevin is on
the clock. Take him. Oh, come on, Kev.
I had him in my queue.
Look, I'm a nice guy.
It was he's literally the only player in my queue. Not a single other player. I'm like, shut up. That's a player I need to move up. It's a player I need to move up. And the thing is, the theory. So I wrote about the theory in the offseason after the draft. I was looking at the depth chart, looking around once they dropped DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm like, they had Kev. Who was that all exercise team they would throw out there? Andre. No, the other guy. No, for the Cardinals. It was like Andre something.
Andre Basalia.
Yeah, Andre Basalia. And they would just throw him out there for like huge snap shares and he would do nothing. Yeah. But they would do it just because he was bigger than these other guys. And Rondale Moore.
When Hopkins was suspended, he was out there running.
You played a ton.
Exercise routes.
Doing nothing. Yeah,
Are you sure that's the name? Are you sure you didn't just tell me about the blind tenor that's
Botticelli, dude? What is his name?
Andrea Bocelli?
Andrea Bocelli.
Valerie Bertinelli.
Dude, I would draft her in a heartbeat.
Enrico Palazzo.
Sorry. My sleeper from that group is definitely Ludovico Inaldi. That's my guy.
Ludovico Inaldi.
Oh, dude, he's a monster. Dude, awesome.
As a reminder for everybody, we are doing a fantasy football draft here at Underdog. We are not ranking opera performers, but listen, if you guys, if this is your first time with Underdog or first time visiting here, we're doing these drafts on Underdog and here on Alarm Fantasy Football. We're going to do them again next week also. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. If you've never drafted on Underdog, you got to come join us. Go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. All right. Use the promo code ALARM, and that'll give you a full 100% match deposit up to $100. So you can use that entry on weekly winners, their new eliminators. You've got regular best ball drafts that we've been doing. You can do the Best Ball Mania 4. All of that stuff there available to you. You can even play the pick'em games and play a little higher or lower when we start talking about player stat lines. So get yourselves involved here. Sign up over at fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use the promo code ALARM for a 100% match deposit up to $100. And then, hit us up on Twitter at Coupe Fiasco, at K Tompkins II, or at Roto Buzz Guy, and just let us know that you want to jump in on one of these drafts. It's a $5 draft. So you might as well make that happen for yourself. I think it's a worthwhile exercise. It's a ton of fun, and good shit all around here. Who am I taking now? I'm on the clock. All of a sudden, I just realized that. Take the least favorite guy here, Rondale.
So I almost took
my least favorite player.
Yeah, he's tough because it's like. I'm so in on Michael Wilson now, and I still like Marquise Brown. That somebody's got to be the odd man out there. And I'll say this to shout out Dustin in the chat that I almost took Isaiah Hodgins. I thought about it. I was ready to do it, and then I realized I needed more running backs. But there is a point in the draft where even I will take Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah.
I just look at it and it's like, dude, I went back to look at the games and he was kind of like Zay Jones, where he had good games for sure, but he really only did it in specific matchups. Namely, his two best games, the two big games, one in the playoffs and one in the regular season, were both against the Vikings and the ghost of Patrick Peterson. So, like, I have a hard time taking guys like that where when they go out of the way. This team traded, signed, and drafted players to improve. They traded for Darren Waller. They drafted Jalen Hyatt. They signed 17 slot receivers. When a team goes out of their way to get new pass catchers like that, it makes me skeptical of the ones that were thriving in the previous conditions. That's all.
And they were only really thriving because it was out of necessity. They were essentially holding open tryouts during the season,
right,
and landed on James Hodgins and Slayton, who had been there, but they were throwing out David Sills and Marcus Johnson.
Right.
They found receivers that were okay. So now that they got receivers, why are we still drafting Hodgins?
Hodgins was there. The reason Hodgins was able to jump in mid-season is because he was with Brian Dable with the Bills,
right?
And he was undrafted over there, and then they released him. So, and this team had a bunch of injuries, Wan'Dale Robinson, and they said, "Hey, you know what? This guy knows the plays. Let's just bring him in and start him right away." Yeah. Is that how superstars are created? Though? Long term, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. This guy knows ball.
Which guy?
Yeah, it's boring.
It's boring, but it's part of my life.
Yeah. I can't hate on it.
Here you go. Here's a pick for you, Dustin. I knew I'd have a pick in here somewhere for you. Slammin' Sammy Howler. Slammin' Sammy Howler monkey. That's the name. Let's go. I mean, that's a guy who's getting steamed up lately. I don't know if I'm moving him up in my rank. I have to move him up in my rankings. I think I have him like quarterback 39 or something.
Do you always prefer to take a third QB in the best ball action?
No, I don't. But I'm kind of leaning into Kev's philosophy of in this range, you're probably going to. It's easier to get impact from QB and tight end, I feel, than it is from some of these like running backs that aren't even signed to teams or are just straight backups, you know?
Like literal dart throws. Like
Right.
we know we're going to get production out of Hunter Henry and Dawson Knox and that type of tight end. And then even the lower end quarterbacks, you know, as we saw last year, the $1 million regular season winner took Davis Mills in the last round. And he was the guy that scored in his lineup in week 14. So
yeah,
these guys are not like literal zeros. I mean, compared to wide receivers who have, you know, hurdles to overcome to even get the routes, running backs that have to have massive, you know, they have contingent value, but need like 2 or 3 things to break right after that.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, like look at Hamburger. He took Zach Ertz. I mean, he might have just drafted like the tight end 9, the way the tight end position works, you know? So I just feel like you can get value there. But yeah, no, I don't go out of my way to do that. I go out of my way to do. Here's a nifty little one. Here's a pick that's getting way too cute, Howard. What do you think about that?
I was going to talk about him.
Jackson. Yeah, right. Like nobody's talking about that Colts backfield at all.
I don't know.
Even in spite of the whole JT situation. I found that kind of crazy also that people weren't talking about Raheem Mostert the moment Dalvin Cook signed with the Jets.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. For real. And that's the thing. I mean, I know the Colts have had Kareem Hunt in to visit, and you know they're probably going to do something, but still, we're talking about even if he has to split the backfield with somebody else, he's splitting it. And Deion Jackson
has a 14 target game to his
14 targets. Yeah, what the hell was that? I was looking at his game log the other day, and I'm like, what the?
He out Nyheim Hines.
Heck am I looking at
Nyheim Hines.
I had to double check to make sure I wasn't looking at Keenan Allen.
Say Nyheim Hines 5 times fast.
Nyheim Hines.
You sound like you're about to march on Lucerne, dude.
I'm trying to get like Dayum off of his quotes here. Dude's been sniping me this entire draft, so I got to just kind of make sure that he doesn't take the last guy I want. And he doesn't. Thank you so much, because I did want to get that extra QB in there.
There we go.
And I'll take Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, love that pick. Love that pick.
Why the hell not? Like, there's definitely going to be a week where he's going to outproduce Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. There is going to be a week where that happens.
Yeah, I look around and it's like, think about those. Bryce Young. I mean, he could easily. We're talking about just having a game where you crack a lineup. Ryan Tannehill, Bryce Young, Jimmy G, Jelani Woods by Bruce B. Vornelas picked Hayden Hurst. I mean, we don't know what the target situation is over there. I just feel like those guys much better than my Deion Jackson pick. What a stupid pick. Looking around at some of these guys, Taysom Hill.
I'm not gonna say that, dude. I'll tell you what. If JT, let's just say JT lands in Miami, right? I mean, we don't know if they're gonna give more than just the first round draft pick, right? I mean, I don't know if they're gonna say, oh, we'll give you A Chain or we'll give you Jeff Wilson or something like that. If there's nobody there in Indianapolis and JT leaves, like who else is gonna run the football?
Truly, I mean, it's not gonna be Evan Hull or the guy that he could be.
And Jackson can work a lot better in an RPO scheme as well. He's got that versatility.
Yeah. So we're in, baby. Let's go. See Big Mac in the chat. Big Mac, what was your name on the board here?
Oh no.
Again, I can't.
Burger. Big Mac burger.
No, that's Josh. That's Josh's hamburger.
Trying to make a correlation.
Oh, maybe he is Jay Burger.
I don't know.
Dalton Kincaid, tight end 4. Okay, so then he's Dayami. There we go.
Okay.
So yeah, there he is.
All right,
Dayami.
Dayami Brown.
He's the one who's been screwing me the whole draft. Thanks a lot, Big Mac. Now I'm gonna go and I'm only eating Whoppers now. I'm no longer eating Big Macs. Thanks a lot.
There you go.
Appreciate that one.
Let's look at his team. He took Tyreek Hill, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Justin Hurt. This team's a wagon, dude. Then he took Christian. So he did the opposite of what I did. I'm taking all the dusty guys. He comes out and takes Christian Watson, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, back to back to back. Boom.
Taking the kids.
And Khalil Herbert, who worth noting, last preseason game, I know it's preseason, but last preseason game, the only Bears running back that sat out with the starters was Khalil Herbert. Everyone else had to play. Donta Foreman had to play. Roshan Johnson had to play. The rest of those scrappers all got out there. So Khalil Herbert looks like he's got that gig locked up.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing, that I took 5 running backs in the first 10 rounds, and it is a cautionary tale. You can stop drafting running backs.
You can.
You don't have to keep drafting them late. You could stop at 5. It's okay.
I think 5 is right. Where I like to live in these is 2 to 3 quarterbacks, 2 to 3 tight ends, 5 to honestly just 5 to 6 running backs.
It's build dependent, really, but
yeah. But I don't like going. I don't feel right about only having 4 running backs, and I feel like I'm taking too many if I get to 7. So
that's 5 or 6.
5 or 6 feels good. Spot. And then depending on how many QBs and tight ends you have, the rest you just painted all orange, right?
Yeah, 7 or 8 wide receivers. That's my build here today: 3, 5, 8, and 2.
Yep. No, that's a sweet spot. And honestly, looking at, for instance, TJ Hernandez of 4for4 does a great job of going through and looking at the advance rates for these big tournaments, and based on the numbers I've seen there, it all adds up. Where you obviously 1 quarterback and 1 tight end, you're dead. But honestly, there's not a lot of 4 QB and tight end teams. But Kev, you said that 4 tight ends is better than 4 QBs, right? Or which way is it?
That's been 4 tight ends has been better for advance rates. And I mean, the 3 is, you can get to 3. 3's been popular, but 4 is pretty detrimental.
Yeah, but 4 isn't bad. But you'd rather have 4 tight ends than 4 quarterbacks.
100%.
But there's no reason to go 4 quarterbacks.
Guys, we got to wrap things up here. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this draft. I want to thank everybody for being in the chat, being active with us. Big thanks to Kevin Tompkins for filling in here. As always, thank you to Andrew Cooper. Again, fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Promo code ALARM gets you 100% match deposit up to $100. So get in on that, and we'll be doing these drafts again next week. I'm Howard Bender. This has been Alarm Fantasy Football. We'll catch you next time.